afternoon. I'd like to ask you if the result of the first leg will change the way you approach this game. No, not at all. I think we have to approach the game despite what's happened in the first game. We have to think about what will happen here. Because if we start to think about the result that we've had, it would be an error. We have to play as if we'd not played anything before and there was nothing coming. We have to play it as if it was a final. There are two players, there are two teams. It's going to be a difficult game because we know that the fans will be really getting behind their side. So we have to be aware of that. Suarez has just said that Barca has to try and not lose the ball and not play in a way that would favour Liverpool. So do you think we need to have a bit more control of the ball and to stop Liverpool from breaking lines, for example? Obviously, every team has their own style. I think it's always important to bring the game to your side. If a team puts you under pressure and tries to get you to play that the way play, they have fast players. Sometimes you are taken or you are put in situations that aren't comfortable. So I think we want to have the feeling that we're in control. They're going to attack us. There's no doubt about that. I think we have to try and keep it so they don't pressure us. We're going to try and attack them and trying to stop them from attacking us. How much do you think it could be decisive, the fact that you've been able to rest players and the fact that they've had a difficult game? How much do you think that will have an impact on the game? I think for these games, everyone's fit. Physically, everyone's fine. Everyone's perfect because you have to give everything. We had to make changes the other day to stop players from getting injured. Because we know that in a game you don't want to have problems. You don't want to have unexpected injuries in the way that Salah is a miss for them. How do you think Salah could change, the fact that he's not playing will change your approach to the game? And perhaps the fact that they're missing two of their best players. And Dembele, perhaps being able to take advantage of the space that they leave behind. Obviously, they're important players, all of them. Every player, every manager worries about the players that they have missing. The fact that, whether Salah, Firmino, Dembele is able to recover for the game. That's the way it is. They are players that are important, and we know the influence that they can have on the game. Yeah, Dembele could be a problem because he can take advantage of the space that could be left. It's always an important factor. And the fact that they're missing their players, they're important players, it's a big miss for them. The last few seasons, Busquets has had an important role. I think in terms of passes completed, Busquets has had a great history of passes completed. Well, now he's working at a 20% less than 2011, 2012. That's when he got his record of most passes completed, and now he's down to 79. Is his performance getting worse over the years? I think things have changed. I have to think about my answer, because it's not just a question of one match or one season. There are matters that are clear. It's something that I've thought about a number of times. It's not just the fact that Barcelona's game has changed, but it's the way that rivals change when they're playing Barcelona over a long period of time. Before, teams didn't press, and now there are many teams that try to press you very high up and trying to create a one-on-one in your own half. And that means that, as I said before, you have to try and make the game more suited to what you do, or the way that you play. Obviously, if you're not able to dribble, for example, you have to look to try and hit teams. When you have to know when to take your moment within a game and to look for the spaces. How does Ernesto Valverde feel 3 games away from winning the treble? Something that perhaps seemed impossible to repeat. I don't know. The same as I felt last week. I touch myself and I feel exactly the same. No, nothing's changed at all. I have enough worries, the players myself, to start thinking about things like that. I think Jurgen Klopp is also thinking that he might be able to get a double. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. With this 3-0 at the 3-0 at the Camp Nou, and this, do you think there might be a possibility that the team might start to relax, thinking about what happened in Roma and now playing this game in Liverpool? We could play against a difficult rival tomorrow, a difficult opponent, and that they beat us. They've lost 1 game this season in the Premier League, away from home. We're playing against an opponent with a fantastic strategy. And I'll say it again. We have to think about the fact that we're facing up to a rival that could beat us, an opponent that could beat us. But seeing the ground tomorrow, I don't think we'll be relaxing at all. We're going to face up to it in the way that we have done to many games this season. For you, Anfield, is it a temple of football? Or would it be better to say to your friend or to your players that it's not, in the way that Klopp said to his players? Sometimes you can dramatize things. I think in the end there are 2 goal mouths, there are 22 players. I think that's the best way to look at a match. What would you change from the first leg to improve things? Well, there are things that we have to improve on. But I think if you change one thing, perhaps all the other things will fall away. So I think sometimes to play better, you have to take out a player, but then if you do that, there might be more of a problem. It depends on what you change, and sometimes things depend on a particular thing. The way that Arturo Vidal is playing at the moment and what he's bringing to the team, has he earned his place in the side tomorrow? We'll see tomorrow. He's a player that's in great form at the moment. He's played some important games this year. I think he played better in the second half and helped the team better in the second half. He's a player that brings something different to us. We know that he's strong physically, and it means that perhaps they will, if they have a chance, for example, he will help us. Have the medical staff said that he might be able to play in the Cup final and also the Champions League final? We've spoken a little bit about this, but I think it would be difficult for him to be fit for the Cup. Luis Suarez has said 4 times, he's mentioned 4 times about what happened last year without actually saying Roma. You said that, how much have you seen a change in terms of the precaution that you are going into this game with, and the euphoria hasn't arrived in the dressing room? I think the experiences are great because you learn from them. It's true that last year we got a bad result there. I think football, the advantage of football is it gives you another opportunity. We've played very well in the first game, in the first match. We know what's on the table tomorrow, and we know what the opponent can bring to the table also. So we're mentally prepared for that tomorrow. What's more dangerous, the potential, the power of the opponent, the atmosphere, or being complacent and believing you're in the final? Obviously, Lucky, something that you can't do or you can't think of is the last thing that you said. An error would be to not go and play with everything and give everything to get through. In the same way that you do in Old Trafford, San Siro, this season, the way that the team have performed in those places to take a step forward. Tomorrow we're in a semi-final of the Champions League. We understand how important this game is. Before you said that this is the game in which everyone wants to play, the importance of it. What does a manager do when he sees that the whole dressing room is so motivated? What do you have to say to them so that certain things don't happen? We always try and continue doing what we've done throughout the year, throughout the season. You have to prepare for certain things that the opponent can bring you, but not much more than you've been doing throughout the year. Perhaps changing one-off things and try and predict or stop them from doing what they want to do to you. So that's where the fight is in the match. But we have to concentrate on ourselves and be mentally prepared for the game. That's fundamental. I think certain situations, I think we've managed them very well. Talking about history, the last club to come back from 3 goals down in a semi-final of the Champions League was actually Barcelona 33 years ago. Since then, there have been 12 or 13 games where this 3-goal deficit has not been able to be turned round. Barca were the first team to come back from 4-0 down. Do you think this team could be the first for this not to happen from them? We don't want this to happen, but you have to play these games. Obviously, in that tie, Barca PSG tie, everybody thought that if PSG scored a goal away from home, the game would be over. But Barcelona scored 6. That's why tomorrow the game is important from the first minute. Could I ask you if, for you, the game tomorrow, with a final round the corner, possibly getting through to it, is this the most important thing that you've played, the most important game that you've played since your time at Barcelona? Where the most important game that you have is the one that's in front of you. The way that the Champions League, what it means, the Champions League, for many people, for us, for all of us. I know you don't want to dramatise things, but you have to play the game tomorrow.